But this specific request has come, as stated, for a project called the Marine Park Legislation Project. This project is funded by the Blue Marine entity out of the United Kingdom and the Dutch Caribbean Nature Alliance. And before we get into all of the details of everything, I am going to give a little bit of history on the Nature Foundation St. Martin for those of you that might not be as familiar with us. The things that we'll be discussing today are not only the background of the Nature Foundation and the project itself, but also our current nature legislation, the needs that St. Martin has regarding marine protections, our local marine ecosystems and the health status of those areas, marine area protections that can be proposed, marine species protections that can be proposed, and our responsibility as a community to protect our island. For those of you that don't know, the Nature Foundation is a non-government, nonprofit organization established in 1997 here in St. Martin. Our mission is to preserve and enhance the natural environment of St. Martin through proper management, education, public awareness, law enforcement, scientific research, and monitoring relating to all aspects of the terrestrial, wetland, and marine ecosystems. Currently, we operate through a service level agreement with Government St. Martin, which is managed by the Ministry of Romy. That service level agreement is something that is renewed every 3 years right now and is actually coming due again in January of 2025. With that, we have certain deliverables that have been outlined by the Ministry of Romy as they are financially contributing to the service level agreement, and those priorities are as such. We have 40% of our time managed on invasive species, 20% on research and advice, 13% on site inspections and enforcements, 13% on active park management, 7% on public outreach, and 7% on the protection of endangered species. Throughout the years, the service level agreement has remained very standard. Currently, the Nature Foundation receives 204,000 guilders each year for our activities in the service level agreement, and then an additional 100,000 guilders specifically earmarked for the invasive species management project, both from the Ministry of Romy. The protected areas that currently stand in St. Martin is, unfortunately, we are the only Dutch Caribbean island without a terrestrial protected area. This is a huge loss for St. Martin as it leaves a lot of our terrestrial species at risk. We do, however, have the Man of War Shoal Marine Protected Area, which is a SPA protected area, and that is 31 square kilometers. We also have a Ramsar site in Mullet Pond, and St. Martin is part of the Ramsar Convention, is party to the Ramsar Convention, though the Mullet Pond is still under severe pressure for development. So our current international and local obligations. Now, please remember this project is funded by some place called Blue Marine. So I have focused very specifically on our marine legislations. That is not to lead anyone astray into thinking that the terrestrial area and the terrestrial legislation is in good standing. It's only focused on Blue Marine because that's where the funding is coming from, okay? So I do mention both the beach and hillside policies. These are very relevant today. There is a lot of public outcry regarding both of these policies and whether or not they're being adhered to, and whether or not they should be adapted into ordinances rather than policies. Just for some information, the hillside policy actually says that the main objective of the policy is to conserve the green hillsides, protect, and if needed, restore their natural value for the benefit of the environment, the tourism industry, and the quality of life on St. Martin. Furthermore, by regulating development in the hillsides in a proper manner by setting building guidelines, the island government wishes to limit erosion and uncontrolled rain and wastewater runoff, which affects the ecosystems of the whole island from the hills down to the lower and coastal areas. This is a really significant thing that has been in the hillside policy for decades, and we know that the impacts of unregulated development are severely happening on the island. We also have the Management and Protection of Nature Ordinance, which I think Gerald will go a little bit further into later, but this is a local ordinance that allows for extremely limited protection of both species and areas on the island. The Ramsar Convention, which we are party to, is a conservation of wetlands convention that we only have one current location, that is Mullet Pond. Aruba just announced 7 new Ramsar locations this year, and we are hoping that St. Martin follows suit to protect the wetland ecosystems that are left on the island. As we know, we have lost ponds to development over the years, and those are an integral part of our environment. The Ramsar Convention states specifically that an area cannot be used for anything that is ecologically negative to the environment. So it still can be used, for example, for kayak trips or snorkeling trips, things like that. But we unfortunately get a lot of pressure for that to be completely developed, filled in, used for jet skiing, things like that. The importance of a healthy marine environment. I'm sure everyone in this room knows the several reasons that it is very important for an island like St. Martin to have a healthy marine environment. But just as an overview, of course, we need to have a healthy marine environment for its role in tourism. We rely extremely heavily on the tourism industry for the economic success of our residents. Not providing a healthy marine environment and risking things like beach closures due to wastewater pollution, erosion, loss of hotel areas or recreation areas due to rising water, due to climate change, are all things that should be considered in the major planning of the island by those of you in this room. Climate change, which I already mentioned, climate change mitigation starts with nature-based solutions. So the flooding that we're experiencing, the impacts of erosion on our hillsides, and of course, the reality is it's not if another hurricane will come through and damage St. Martin, it is when that will happen. Are we prepared? Is our ecosystem prepared? And can it rebound from that damage? We also always want to include the support of fisheries. The fisheries industry on St. Martin is extremely small, and that is due to unsustainable practices in the past and the poor reef health that we have in the coastline right now. It is a true loss because the fisheries industry shares a deep connection through culture and heritage that is being lost. I don't know a single fisherman on the Dutch side right now that can make their living only doing fisheries. They all have to have supplemental income, and most of this is stepping away from earning from and living on the sea. That's a loss to the culture, a loss to the heritage of St. Martin, and supporting fisheries so that we can grow that industry is extremely important. And finally, I mentioned the standard of living. The standard of living for St. Martin residents does start with a healthy marine and terrestrial ecosystem. There are several residents on this island that cannot afford to travel away if there's a hurricane. They cannot afford to go on long vacations each summer with their families. If we cannot provide a healthy marine and terrestrial ecosystem for them to live in, to grow, and to enjoy, we are doing a disservice to the people that elected you here.
We are at a crucial moment now in the history of St. Martin. Either we're going to give in for the tradition of governing this country as it has been done in recent years, or we have now a momentum, an opportunity to give a completely different approach and change for this country. And I do believe that the people of St. Martin have a right to get the best for their country. And this is the moment. If I leave this moment go, Lady Grace, we are going to lose our country. And you told me it's going to cost 500,000 Antillian guilders. I agree with you. But if I tell you what it has cost the people of St. Martin, the past government from the past 4 years, you can neglect it compared to this 500,000 Antillian guilders to organize a election. And that is the reason that I took the decision to implement Article 59. It had two signals to the people. Guys, we are now, as I said, in a historical moment to show the world that we are going to do it different and show those that think that pure out of reputation and historical status and due to tradition that they think automatically that they are going to be the ones controlling St. Martin. I wanted to show them that they are real people that are moving this country out of a great heart, and I wanted to show them that I'm not going to be intimidated by no one in this country once it comes to the benefit of the people of my country. And they can know that. I can repeat it. People want to intimidate. I'm getting a lot of intimidations. I'm not sensitive for it because at the end of the day, I'm completely convinced that what I'm doing here is for the greater benefit for our people.
Intimidating you how?
I wouldn't want to speak with that, but it's okay. My security is important. Let's put it that way.
Your security?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So we're talking about threats here.
Of course. But okay, we are busy working on it.
So you gotta...
I have to be very careful.
Wow. That is scary, though.
But these are the great leaders. Leaders that are bringing change, that those that think that it's not going to be convenient for them are going to do whatever they can to bring. And they were since before election busy. They get a surprise by the outcome of the election. I showed them, although it took me a while to form a government, I'm still here. And then they broke the government. I'm still sitting in the chair, pushing them back with Article 59. And the next is there is an election coming, and with this election, I'm going to push them back too. So I can imagine that they're becoming desperate with a leader that is convinced that with the sympathy and with the endorsement of the people of this country, that we are going to change this St. Martin for better.
How serious are you taking these threats, though? We saw what happened actually in Curacao.
Yes.
And
it's being discussed many times at home. What to do?
What about the public prosecutor?
Yeah, but what to do, Lady Grace? What to do?
Are you going to step up, beef up your security now?
We are doing that already.
Okay.
Yes. But Lady Grace, somebody has to stand up for the people of this country, right? And if you choose for the majority, you will have to carry the consequences of being a real man with a backbone for your people.
For all of life's twists, turns, and defining moments, RBC is a blend for all of you. SZV, your social and health insurance is SZV, your social and health insurance is.
Are you SZV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SZV is cardless. Request your My SZV account today and enter the virtual office of SZV. Go to szv.sx and sign up now.
SZV, yeah, your social and health insurance is.
Country is in a horrible financial state, the Prime Minister said. And calling an election going to cost you $500,000 more. And a lot of people are, oh, look at the Prime Minister. He said we bankrupt, but he's spending $500,000. Well, the only reason he's doing that is because another term with this government that was there before, the NA-UP government, will not only bankrupt this country, but we'll have to sell it. We'll have to sell it to pay our debts. Because they even went on the budget, put on 50 million extra, with shares from Mania being sold, share to do what? To do what exactly? I understand Winnie might need privatization, but the privatization doesn't mean to say you have to sell it off. Work a partnership. Work with KLM. Work with Air France. I don't know who, but why sell? Next thing you can sell is GB, then TLM, then the airport, then the harbor, then the hospital. But then you sold your country, you have nothing. You have nothing anymore. So we got to be careful. The budget was overinflated and it's causing a lot of problems. It's really causing a lot of problems because this government will have themselves in hot water. They were promised the civil service, they promised civil service a bunch of things. They're going to raise the vacation allowance. Vacation allowance is due now. But there's no money for it. There's no money to pay the additional vacation allowance. And let them come out and say, oh, this government is fear-mongering and we're doing it. Where's the money? Show us the money. Not that piece of crap paper you call a budget that you knew was no good. You all knew it. But in Scotland, putting away money. Huh? Boy, this is going to be an election campaign like you have never seen before. My story has been told over and over. But your story going to be told this time. Breaking news. Andrew will have a field day every day. Every day going to have a field day. And all those others in talk shows trying to cover your backside, they're going to move on. Because this is it. Like Marcelina said, it's now or never. But what I am telling you here, is just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more. But let's talk about what happened yesterday. Because you remember I was telling you about transparency, integrity, and deceit? Deceit? Good. Remember the fabulous 8 who all signed? 8 people signed. Omar Otley, Hakeem Arundel, Francisco de la Cruz, Kevin Mingret, Egbert Jurendi Duran, Artwell Arian, Silveria Jacobs, and Unde Malin. Those 8 people signed. Yesterday, the Prime Minister received an offer from Silveria Jacobs, Unde Malin, and Artwell Arian to form a new government. The same 3 that instilled in Kevin's head to move, destabilize the country, went there now and tell the man, listen, we willing to work with all you. Then we're going to call new elections and all that. This is what it is. All right? Destabilize it, throw it down basically, and then try to come through the back door. Because Laura, I can't take out all of we things now. Yes, people, this is what happened. Bank campaign line. Ask all of them in the government building. Go ask Silveria, go ask Unde, go ask Atwell. Because those are the 3 involved. Or you ain't going to throw those that ain't involved. But Kevin, watch your back. Because your backside for sale too. You follow them. You destabilize this government. And to yesterday, they were ready to sell your little backside out. So that they could get back into power. Don't fool yourself. Yes, Governor, go check what went down. Because they play you too. They played you too.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social health insurances. For all of life's twists, turns, and defining moments, RBC is open for all of you.
Other news now, fire officials were kept busy earlier today as they battled a grass fire spanning several acres across a number of Christchurch communities. According to reports, the blaze was initially reported at Bannatyne around 8 minutes after 11 this morning. There were also reports of fire at about 1:45 this afternoon at Upland. Officials say the blaze subsequently spread to two adjoining communities in Southview and Kent. 2 water tenders as well as 2 rapid response appliances with over a dozen fire officers under the command of Station Officers Tony Scanterbury were dispatched to the affected areas until the fires were under control. Officers told CBC News the fire, though expansive, did not threaten any residential areas. The intense smoke from the fire caused the closure of at least 1 secondary school, as well as the cancellation of shows at the nearby Globe Drive-In. We'd like to thank Calvison Maynard for providing us with some of that footage shot by drone.
The moment the flags of Antigua and Barbuda and the United Nations are handed over to be hoisted at American University of Antigua Sunday morning. Pouring rains could not put a damper on the solemn seminal occasion. With the Antigua and Barbuda Defense Force Band providing a fitting ceremonial soundtrack to this flag raising, the entire campus is now under the control of the United Nations for the duration of the conference.
It means in effect that the AUA is now the host, the home of the UN 4th Citizens Conference here in Antigua Barbuda. Hallowed grounds, one may call it, extra special place as we host the world here in Antigua. Antigua, I declare on ABS TV that Antigua and Barbuda, we are ready to host the world here at SIDS 4.
Senior Vice President of AUA, Vernon Solomon, reacts to the temporary handover of the campus.
In one way, it's a lot of pressure, but then another way, it's a weight is off, because the responsibility, I think over the last few days, all the teams working together, both the United Nations team, AUA's teams, as well as the Antigua and Barbuda, the government entities, we've gotten to know each other rather intimately, and so there's a comfort level now.
The United Nations Under Secretary General for the Department of Economic and Social Affairs and the SIDS 4 Secretary General Li Jinhua is eagerly looking forward to what will unfold.
That we are so grateful to the government and the people of the Antigua and Barbuda. That we know this is an historical moment for the country, for the campus, to raise the host country flag together with the UN flag here. That symbolizes that we officially started our journey for the SIDS 4 here in Antigua and Barbuda.
Minister Green provides an update on the numbers registered for the SIDS 4 conference.
Already there are almost 5,000. We did say at the start of the process, we expect about 5,000 visitors. When I checked yesterday, we were 4,700. And so I anticipate by the end of registration, which is tomorrow, we just may close in the 5,000.
The eyes of the world will be firmly fixed on the Trinidad state as the crucial issues affecting SIDS take center stage. Garfield Burford, ABS News.